Successful farming means getting the maximum return from your investment. On most Western Australian farms, there's an untapped resource which can easily make a valuable contribution to the overall farm plan, with minimal effort. The typical farm dam in Western Australia is an ideal environment for a highly sought-after aquatic animal, being sold as a delicacy in restaurants around the world. Chirax albidus, the freshwater crayfish, better known as the yabby. But of more than 90,000 farm dams available, less than 15% are being used for yabby production. Since the early 80s, Western Australian farmers have been producing high-quality yabbies. The growing method has been tried and tested and proven to be profitable, even with minimal expenditure and effort. Yabby farming practices are as simple as they are flexible. The whole family can be involved in running a profitable yabby farming business. Western Australia is the leading producer of farmed yabbies in Australia, and demand for our product is increasing steadily. In order to meet this demand, many farmers are adding aquaculture to their farm plan and harvesting a tidy profit. Western Australia has set the standard in the quality of live export yabbies, a standard we must maintain if our product is to continue being accepted by international markets. Fortunately, achieving the required level of quality is easy, provided you adhere to the proven methods developed over the past 15 years. Initially, all you need to start producing yabbies is a dam, juvenile or breeding yabbies to stock it, and food, such as second-grade grain and old straw or hay.
The market requires good quality yabbies. There are 5 different sizes. The 30 to 40 gram, which is the predominant production in the dam. The 40 to 50 gram, which is also large production. 50 to 70 gram. Now, by feeding and good dam management, regular harvesting all year round, you can achieve more of the 50 to 70, the 70 to 90 gram as well, and the 90 plus gram. The market requires and prefers more of these larger sizes, the 50 to 70, 70 to 90, and 90 plus. Notice the uniformity of the colour. This is achieved by the animals being fed more regularly. The critters are happy by better management, by spreading them around. They're not attacking one another. They're perfect shells, a lighter shell, larger tail meat. This is what the market wants. So, by regular feeding and regular harvesting all year round, this is what you achieve. Here's an example of poor quality yabbies that the market doesn't want. Heavily stained and stumps from clan damage and fighting. Tail blister. No claw, low tail meat, missing legs. A very weak, low tail meat, ugly looking animal. With correct dam management, production of yabbies like these can be dramatically reduced.
Yabby growing can be included in your water management planning. Experience has proven that although most stockwater dams can grow yabbies, some dams have superior production potential. The best dams have low-profile walls, good exposure to the prevailing wind to aerate the water, good catchments for water runoff, and turbid or muddy water. The turbidity helps control the temperature and minimises algae growth. but its greatest benefit is in concealing the yabbies from predators, especially birds. One of the most effective ways to ensure year-round water supply in farm dams is with roaded catchments. These compacted parallel ridges of earth increase runoff into dams, even from small or low-intensity rains. Roaded catchments are an increasingly important water management device which provide benefits for the entire farm operation, as well as yabby production. There are some conditions even the hardy yabby doesn't like. Don't use clear water, black tannin water, or dams with salinity higher than 6,000 parts per million. Acid dams with a pH less than 6.0. Dams used for watering recently drenched stock. Dams containing turtles or fish. Dams can be stocked at any time of the year, provided they have water in them. You can obtain stock from a yabby company, from your own stock in existing dams, or you can make arrangements with neighbours who have stock. The maximum quantity you can stock a dam with depends on the surface area of the dam and the sex of the yabbies. Stocking new dams with single-sex yabbies gives greater production. In dams which dry out each year, restocking with males achieves optimal production. In mixed production dams, it's important to maintain genetic diversity by transferring juveniles from dam to dam, or even swapping stock with your neighbours.
If I was starting off yabbies farming today and I had 20 odd dams on the place and I only had say 4 or 5 of them with yabbies in, I would turn around and I'd turn around and let them breed up in those dams, keep the females in a dam or two, and then a lot of the other dams, especially dams that would be really good for growing yabbies out in, I would put all the males in those dams and try to keep that going, an ongoing thing, because certainly if you put you go to the trouble of sexing your animals and keeping your males separate from your females, the males will grow out and you can produce a lot more yabbies a lot quicker over a longer period of time.
This is a female yabby, and you can identify it by the 2 discs on the 3rd walking leg up. This is a male yabby, and he can be easily identified by the penile protrusions on the base of the back walking legs. They vary in sizes, but they are easily identified by the fact they're on the back of the walking legs.
Buried females are seen during spring and summer. Each female can bear between 100 and 400 juveniles. Although smaller than most farm animals, yabbies are livestock and need to be fed regularly. Detritus or broken down organic matter is best and readily available on most farms. Second-grade lupins are currently the most commonly used feed. Barley, oats or wheat are also used. If any of this grain floats, it's advisable to pre-soak it so the grain immediately sinks down to where the yabbies can reach it. If it floats on the surface, it could attract birds looking for more than just cereal for breakfast. Food should be thrown no more than 3 metres into the dam, all the way around the edge. To maximise the growth potential and the quality of yabbies, they should be fed every 7 to 14 days in summer and every 4 to 6 weeks in winter. More frequent feeding produces higher yields. Try to keep records of your feeding program so you don't inadvertently over or underfeed. The feeding of grains provides a very important supplement to natural feed washing into the dam. If your dam does not get much runoff, then a more varied diet may be required. 1 small bale of old hay or straw for every 1,000 square metres of surface area should be introduced to the dam every 4 to 6 months. It breaks down gradually, becoming a rich source of feed, as well as providing shelter for juvenile yabbies. Water quality is essential to successful yabby production. If there is algae in the dam or external parasites on the yabbies, reduce the feed. If the dam is clean, increase the feed. Excessive algae can deoxygenate the water and cause the yabbies to die.
I get indications of overfeeding by when I pull my traps out, if they've got a furry-like appearance or they're slimy, lots of little bugs all over them. But when they're underfed, you generally get a huge amount of yabbies in your traps and no bait left and a few dead yabby shells from yabbies eating each other.
There are some things to avoid in the yabbies' diet. Don't overfeed low-stocked dams or those dams polluted by paddock runoff. Overfeeding will cause the water quality to deteriorate, increasing the chance of parasites and diseases amongst the yabbies. Do not feed meat. It spoils the water and can affect the flavour of the yabby. And don't give them feed contaminated with chemicals, especially insecticides. Yabbies are extremely sensitive to toxins. Be aware of spray drift when crop spraying. It's best to harvest your yabbies before spraying nearby paddocks. Also, plan other work involving chemicals so they don't contaminate the water or yabby equipment. It is important to keep an eye on the water quality, and if a problem develops, discuss it with your local processor or fisheries department advisor.
Because you can actually get a really good idea of the relationship between the temperature and the oxygen levels. So,
harvesting yabbies is easy. Both the Western Australian and the imported traps have proven to catch up to 80% of the yabby population without damaging the floor of the dam, the way dragnets do. Harvesting should be done every 4 to 6 weeks during the growing season, between October and May. Place 5 or 6 dog biscuits or 1 muley in the bait tube or pouch supplied with the trap. Set the traps all around the dam, 1 to 3 metres into the water. For heavily stocked dams, place the traps 10 to 12 metres apart. They can be set at any time of the day. The traps should be set for at least 3 hours in summer and up to 3 days in winter.
Well, what I do, because I have 100 traps, is I set all those traps out, and so that will be early morning, and then about 3 o'clock in the afternoon I'll go back out and start pulling my traps in. Depending on the weather, if it's really hot, I'll wait till 4:30 and start then.
To reduce stress on the animal once it's taken from the dam, it's best to pull the traps in the cool of the morning or evening. Equipment for harvesting includes foam boxes for storage, ice bottles or ice pack for cooling during transport, and clean slabs of sandwich foam or hessian to place between each layer of yabbies in the boxes. This equipment must be kept separate from other farm gear, which might be contaminated with chemicals. Traps should be pulled and sorted one at a time. As each trap is pulled, mud is disturbed. Try to minimise bottom mud disturbance by raising the front of the trap so it doesn't dig in. The yabby closes its gills as it comes out of the water, trapping water and mud inside. This mud can contain bacteria. It's essential that the gills be washed and rinsed in clean dam water immediately after the yabby has been removed from the dam.
When you pull a trap out of a dam, you're stirring up a lot of mud and sediments. A yabby closes its gills as you remove it from the water, so the secret is to get the mud out of those gills again. Take another bucket, get some fresh water out of a dam where you haven't stirred mud up, put the yabby in there and just rinse any rubbish out of its gill chambers. Once you understand that, which way you do it, you can do it 6 different ways.
Right.
Farmers are individualists, each comes up with his own solutions.
If they don't flush their gills out, then the bacteria lives in them, and 2-3 days later they'll die.
Well, some people have got little yard carts. They just drive the whole yard cart into the dam so they don't have to lift any water. Place the screen on top of the yard cart, place the yabby into the yard cart to rinse its gills. So it might sit there for a quarter of an hour while you're sorting other traps. That works extremely well. Keeps the yabbies in perfect condition.
We can normally tell if a farmer has not caught his yabbies and gill flushed or done all the procedures that we've been trained to do. The product tends to be limp. You can certainly feel when you put your hand in the boxes that it's warm, and quite often after they've been purged in the tanks for a couple of days, we can have considerable deaths from the product not being handled right at the start.
The quality of the end product served in fine restaurants to high-paying customers around the world begins at your dam. If your yabbies aren't up to the high standards customers expect, our position in the international market will suffer. The way you handle your yabbies has a direct effect on the price they'll fetch on the market. Treat them gently so they arrive at the processor in the best possible condition.
Good.
Grading should be done in the shade and out of the wind. Use a grader to speed up the sorting process. And remember to return any undersized or soft-shelled yabbies to the dam immediately.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, some good quality. Oh, here's a soft-shell one, Tammy.
Why do we put the soft-shelled ones back?
Well, their shell's very soft and they won't make it through to the market, and we need to give them time for their shell to get hard. So I'll put it in with the juvenile yabbies and it'll go back in the dam.
If you are not transporting the catch to the processing depot straight away, store them in a storage sock or tray at the edge of the dam. If you are going directly to the depot, pack them into foam boxes. Put an ice bottle or ice pack in with them to keep them cool. Never pack them upside down and don't overcrowd the box. Separate each layer with moist foam or hessian to keep them cool and to absorb waste. When harvesting your catch, always remember yabbies live their lives protected from wind and sun. A few minutes exposure to either can ruin your harvest.
And we'll put that in the cool box. Alright, good, Tam. That'll keep them in good nick.
Yeah, I'll just go lid.
Once you've got your yabbies out of the water, you should keep them cool and moist at all times, because they come out of water and all of a sudden you're putting them in air and it's not a natural environment and they're very stressed, and if you don't keep them cool and moist at all times, well then they're going to dry out, and once their gills dry out, if you put them back in water, you've damaged the gills and they're not going to be able to get oxygen and function properly underwater again.
It's ideal if you go and pull your traps out of the dam first early in the mornings, if this is during summertime when it's hot, or perhaps later in the evening, whichever's suitable to you and which works the best.
Basically the secret with the yabbies is keep their gills clean and keep the yabbies cool and moist. In those terms I mean below about 12 degrees, try and pull the temperature of the animals down. Those are the two secrets, right?
They're a very fragile item. You've got to just treat them very gently, carefully, treat them with care, and like have the ice and have them cold enough, have foam on top of them, and basically get them to the processor in the best condition that you can.
What I'm looking for when they come into our processing works is A, to make sure the product is packaged correctly, ice bottles, foam or hessian, and that the product has been handled with the utmost care right from the start.
Drive carefully when taking the yabbies to the processor. The smoother the ride, the healthier they'll be, and the better price they'll return.
G'day, Gary. How you going, Simon? Yeah, good. Now, how'd you go this time, Gary?
Got some yabbies, mate.
Good on you.
Go.
Yeah, righto. Nicely packed too, that's good to see.
Yep.
Come on in.
Yabbie processors work hard to maintain the quality of the product provided to them by the grower. The yabbies are processed quickly and efficiently to ensure they're dispatched to customers around the world in premium condition.
Generally, I find that farmers are very, very good with their handling. Farmers that have been with most processors for 5 or 6 years now have a very simple and effective and efficient system that they use of bringing their product in, and 99% of the product that comes in here is well handled by them, and we pay them accordingly.
They've got to make money off you, and you've got to be able to make money, and you're trying to sell something to them, and they're full of information. They'll tell you exactly what you need to know as well.
Well, we don't just try and buy their yabbies. As a processor, I try to make them money from their farm dams. That means I do a newsletter for my growers. It means they can ring me for advice. It means I pass them on the information from 200 other yabbie farmers. It means we try and develop equipment for them. We really try to make them happy yabbie growers by paying them the best price we can for their yabbies, by making them as much money as we can out of their industry. My view is then, by having happy yabbie growers, we should have more farmers. Our volumes will increase, and our money is in volume, not in per kilo, but in the tonnage we can put through.
Yabbies often have high bacterial levels in their bodies from the mud in the dam. Washing and rinsing the gills is crucial. Yabbies must not be sent to the market if they've not been completely cleansed. It's important that the yabbies are fully immersed in clean dam water for approximately 1 minute. If yabbie producers fail to maintain high sanitation standards, the bacteria can pose a public health risk, not to mention the damage it would do to the reputation of Western Australian yabbies. It is advisable to periodically clean harvesting equipment, which has been used in dams contaminated with blue-green algae, in order to prevent it being transferred to clean dams. A bacterial infection sometimes attacks yabbies in the warmer months, especially those animals which have been weakened by stress or injury through poor handling. The yabbie becomes very limp and usually dies within a week. Do not sell any limp-looking yabbies. There are 2 organisms which can foul the yabbie shell. A tiny flatworm called Temnocephala, which moves about on the shell and lays its eggs on the underside of the yabbie. And a growth called Epistylus, a woolly grey growth sometimes found on yabbies in nutrient-rich water. These external parasites don't affect the health of the yabbies, but they present poorly to food markets. Good dam management can minimise their growth. Health certification for yabbies being shipped interstate or overseas must be performed by a recognised government pathology laboratory, such as the Fisheries Department Pathology Section at Agriculture Western Australia in South Perth. To prevent the introduction of diseases into the state's yabbie stock, it's against the law to import any freshwater crayfish species into the state unless permission is obtained from the Fisheries Department. It's also against the law to introduce yabbies into streams, rivers and waterways. In Western Australia, they are a farm animal and must be confined to farms. Working near water needs to be done safely. There are some basic safety points to remember. Park parallel to the dam, never face a vehicle towards it. Keep a warm set of clothes in the vehicle. Take care walking around the banks. Use the flat top of the dam walls whenever possible. If your family is helping, make sure children are accompanied at all times. Life jackets on young children are a wise precaution. When feeding the yabbies, maintain your balance. Place the buckets on the ground. Don't hold them while you throw the food. If setting or pulling traps at night, avoid working alone. Or at the very least, advise someone else of your circuit and estimated time of return.
Yeah, Jenny, we're going up the top paddock. We'll be about an hour and a half. Okay? See ya. Catch some yabbies.
Aquaculture is a growth industry. The world's fishery stocks are being harvested at their maximum capacity, but demand continues to grow. Western Australian farmers are ideally placed to capitalise on the booming market for this homegrown delicacy.
Overall, you'll never have a problem if you're wanting to get into the yabby industry. There's always someone that will help you. You've got your fisheries department, your processors, and even your neighbours will all have a word to say and a word of encouragement. Everyone wants to see you succeed in what you're doing.
A new yabby grower should take up contact with a processor, whichever processor he decides or she decides on, and learn how to manage farm dams. Not to treat yabbies as just a wild-caught fishery, but look at it as farm dam, a bit like a yabby feedlot. How do I manage this dam to get maximum production and also top profits out?
The industry has a very big future. We have some very coordinated processes in this industry. With the help of farmers being involved in this industry and helping their processors, supporting their processors, we have the world demanding about 2,000 tonnes of yabbies from us at the moment, of where we can find 200 to 300 tonnes. That enables the processors to pick the best paying, most regular markets throughout the world, but it also convinces the growers that there is markets out there for their product, and we need more and more people to be involved. My doors stay open simply by the amount of farmers that walk through the doors and supply the product to the processors.
It's very easy. They've got a lot of assistance in the fisheries department and the processor that they supply product to, and they've got a wealth of information now.
The farming used by the yabby industry has been developed by practical agricultural farmers with support from the Fisheries Department's fish health and research scientists. Fish Health identified the need for gill washing in yabbies. Research in ponds at Avondale Research Station has identified important factors for increase in production, such as density reduction, monosex, sediment aeration, and feed quality and rate. Results from this research will be included in an updated version of the Code of Practice at a later date. Growing yabbies is easy by following the methods refined over the past 15 years. Look after your yabbies properly so they maintain the quality standards the world market demands. Quality is everything. Yabbies are fragile. Make sure your yabbies are delivered to the processor alive, healthy and undamaged. Then they'll help look after you with a regular and tidy profit.